Hello YouTube, it's Ben here from Team America 1, coming at you with a discussion video for next format, what I think is going to be good, my reasons why, and then kind of cards that I think really help push certain decks, or just decks in general. And then I also kind of want to talk about why I think consistency and having a good top deck in your deck really makes the deck so much more better, or so much better than other decks. Like, I don't know, but let's just get right into the video. So, like I said, cards that generate advantage, that's really going to be the entire theme of this video, but cards that generate, or decks that generate lots of advantage quickly will overwhelm other decks, pretty much. You saw that with the Elemental Dragon Ruler decks, or the Dragunity Ruler. Ravine really helped get the deck moving. The fact that the dragons could add when banished, 7 swords, cards of consonance, stuff like that just really helps generate advantage. Reckless Greed, and honestly dragons don't need their 2 draws. And the thing is, it doesn't have to be dragons. Any deck that can generate card advantage at a level not like Dragon Rulers, but at a level that's higher than your opponent, you're most likely going to win because you will have more resources in the long run, which is what happened to most Dragon Ruler matchups that I've seen, is where the opponent just runs out of resources and the Dragon Ruler player just is able to then use all the resources that he's gathered up, put into the graveyard, has in his hand, or flip return and continually plus off that. So I think the number one deck that generates advantage right now, Geargia's especially. I'm building the deck right now. The deck is just going to be ridiculously good. Geargia's in itself with Geargia armor. This card alone can go +2, +3. The fact that you have Geargia on X that can add and just I don't know how to say this really, but when it leaves the field, you can still add back, or special summon like a Geargia MK2 or MK3. Geargia gear is if you go set armor, set Geargia gear, you're set for next turn. If you have 1 accelerator in your hand, you don't even need 1 accelerator, a Birdman or something, because you're going to start generating advantage. You have the free Geargia on X to go into. There's just so much you can do, and the fact that with the Karakuri you can go synchro build and OTK your opponent in a snap of the fingers and still have a 4 or 5 card advantage in hand from your Geargia armor, I think that's ridiculous. So again, Geargia's pluses for days. You win with this deck pretty much. I don't know. Another deck that I think is really good with not only the top deck but hand advantage once, but Fire Fist. Fire Fist in itself is going to be a great deck. The fact that they have their 3 tankies back makes the deck even better. They also utilize their trap cards like Tensen. They have their Tensu, which allow for another normal summon, which is really good. It makes it good, or it gives the deck the factor where Tensen and Bear and Wolfbark, you can go off on some crazy plays with that. Blaster still being at 1, you can tech it in if you really like, but it's not really worth it, in my opinion. The fact that they can main deck like Iron Wall and stuff like that really makes the deck good. Their Exceed monsters are also extremely good. They can utilize a lot, honestly. Rank 4s and rank 3s sometimes if you play the 3-axis build, which isn't as good, but still pretty powerful. Like I said, Bear in itself is a great top deck. Tanky in itself is a great top deck. Tensen, not Tensen, but just Tanky, I don't know, this is coming off weird, but this is the 3rd time of me trying to explain this because the videos always stopped or have gotten interrupted. So yeah, just generating advantage pretty much what this deck does. Like I said, tanky is good. Bear can win you single-handedly in game. The fact that this deck is really good at grinding out your opponent as well, which is what I've seen and what I've experienced when playing the deck. It just grinds, and that's what makes the deck good. Powering up their own monsters with Tenki, Tensen, Tensu, Gyoko, cards like that just really allow the deck to excel at what it does. The Triple Tenki helps out a multitude of other decks as well. You could say it helps out Fire Fist, it helps out Fire Kings, I think. I haven't looked at Fire Kings, but I know they're going to be pretty good. Fire Kings, Constellars, Bujins. I don't have any Bujin cards to like show, but Bujins will be a wonderful deck next format with their new support coming from the Legacy of the Valiant or whatever, and then Primal Origins as well. So both those sets giving off ridiculous amounts of support for the deck. Konami is really pushing the deck, which is why I feel Tenki went to 3. But Bujin's just not overwhelm, but the advantage that Yamato generates is ridiculous. So having the Mikazushi, having the Crane, having the Graveyard Control, it's sort of like a mini Dragon deck. Although you guys probably won't agree with that whatsoever, but a mini Dragon deck being their graveyard can be used to effectively control the pace of the game, whereas dragons, their hand and graveyard, or their graveyard was their hand. Bujins, their graveyard just helps them get over sticky situations. It gives them good matchups against almost everything, to be honest. Spellbooks maybe not as much, but yes, those decks will be good. And speaking of spellbooks, I don't have any spellbook cards either, I don't believe. With Magician of Faith at 1, you may see it played. It's not going to be that big of a deal, honestly. Magician of Faith is too slow. You could maybe see a Magician of Faith Tsukiyomi thing, but honestly, I don't think it's going to do much. But that deck, you saw when, what's it called, Spellbook of the Judgment Day, you saw when that card was out, how much advantage it generated. Spellbooks still generate massive amounts of advantage. Their field spell recycles everything. Eternity recycles everything. Fate at 1 doesn't matter because they're just going to recycle it. They have Spellbook of Secret still, Spellbook of Masters. They can thin through the deck, get to what they need, and they have their big boss monster, High Priestess of Prophecy, and World of Prophecy that just poop on you. So that deck as well will generate lots of advantage. Another deck that generates advantage very well is Madolche's, and I don't have very good views or cards to express this, but with Madolche Palooza is actually not that bad, but with their new Angeli card that's coming out, with Hookake, with Madeline, with the fact that every single monster just recycles itself back into the deck is ridiculously annoying in many senses, or in a sense, but this card just, or not this card, but this deck just doesn't die, is what I'm trying to say, is unless you have a DeFi or a macro on board, unless you have an emptiness to stop their plays, Hookake can destroy you. Messengelato being able to search out their field spell, or Ticket at a whim, and Ticket is extremely good. Ticket and Chateau just helps them regain hand advantage, regain cards that maybe weren't as good. So Madolches are, I think, going to be top tier next format. You can hate me for it, but honestly, it's true. A deck that may not be top tier, but a solid tier 2 deck. I feel Windups, with Windup Factory still being at 3, the deck can still generate a ton of advantage. Another deck that is like this is Blackwings. Blackwings can spit out like so much stuff, but Mermails, I don't have a good representation of this either, but Mermails, again, with Megalo, Teus, Lind, Bisphere, Bisquall, they can pump out rank 7s if they need. They can pop cards with Megalo. They can OTK. Synchro plays are also viable. They have the mech-equipped engineer play with Aqua Spirit and whatnot. So, or not? Yeah, with I don't remember, but Mermails will be a contender as well. Darkworld's 3 tour guide. The deck is good. The deck is annoying. It's sacky, but it's good. They still have the 3 drag down. They can cycle through. They have snow. They have brow. Darkworld dealings. They have their gates. Drag down. Like this card or this deck generates advantage like no other. And that's really, like I said, the entire point of the video is decks that generate advantage. Lightsworns, they don't generate a lot of advantage. They use their graveyard to control things, but what they do have is Judgment Dragon, which is the best top deck or the best boss monster in the game. You cannot argue that this isn't a boss monster, that this isn't a good top deck. They have, of course, you can top deck a wolf. That sucks, and you're playing too many wolves. If you, well, no, not really, but if you play 3 wolves, it's too many. But top decking wolf sucks. But Judgment Dragon, like I said, is just so good. Actually, hold on 1 second. I have to go plug in my computer. But like I said, the card in itself, if you have more than 1, the fact that you can drop 1, blow up the field, stupid good. Honestly, it is stupid. But Judgment Dragon again, and Lightsworns in a sense, will be good. This is going to be a long video, guys. It's going to go well over 15 minutes, so I apologize for that. Another deck that I think is going to be good, maybe not right away, but Gravekeepers. Gravekeepers, I think, could be a tier 1 deck if given to the right player, or the right player decides to take it to a YCS or a regional and top with it. As soon as the deck gains like favor, the deck can really just expand and go plus, and with their new cards that protect Necro Valley, and Necro Valley being a card itself, Necro Valley is extremely annoying. The fact that they have a Descendant or whatever, the one that pops stuff, and then Recruiter to add, is just so good. Spy in itself is a great card. They are getting their own Infernity barrier. Infernities will be a good deck as well, just because they spam a lot, and I think a lot of people are going to drop Max C from the main deck, just because a lot of people are only main decking it for Dragons. And you're going to see a lot of Max C in the side deck now, which gives Infernity a huge game 1 advantage, in my opinion. So, another deck that I think has great top decking ability are Lavals or Hazy Flames or whatever. This card is so stupid. Rekindling is so dumb. It's a return from a different dimension at 3. I don't think Konami realizes that yet. And this card single-handedly will win you the game, just like a JD will. If you successfully get this card off, that's game over. Honestly, it really is. If you don't understand what I mean, is you could go through an entire series of plays and push through your opponent's back row and have two of these in hand. Push through their entire back row by having them Warning, having them Torrential, having them Bottomless, and then you go Rekindling, and you do it all again. And that, I think, is extremely unfair. I really don't like this card at all, but I will say that any like Laval synchro decks will be extremely powerful. With the new synchros that are coming out, if you've read their effects, they're stupid broken. But Rekindling and just Lavals or cards that have fire decks that have only 200 defense, yeah, the deck is stupid. Stupid good. So I think that they have one of the best top decks, and it will be one of the best decks in the format. Notice how I haven't talked about Constellars or Evilswarm yet, though that will be later. Another deck that I think will be good, Gladiator Beast. I know they're getting that 1 support card. That support's not good, but they recycle everything as well, sort of in the sense of Madolche. They utilize back row. War Chariot is a card that is super annoying. Gazaris is very annoying. So recycle, pop. They only need one Bestiary, and honestly, Bestiary at 2 or 3 I don't think would change anything. Yes, Bestiary at 1 does maim the deck to a point where it's almost not playable. It's still playable though. But I think that the deck still is able to push and do heavy pushes, and Tanky will search their Liquari, which makes the deck even better, in my opinion. So Tanky helps this deck as well. Inzektors, you can do so many things. Team Wicked, another team I'm a part of. I'm actually more of a part of Team Wicked than I am of this team, to be honest. But I have a friend named Yugioh. He actually got top 32 at our Des Moines regionals with Dragonfly and got his with Inzektors, and got his invite, which is really cool. I think he got like 28th or 29th place with Inzektors. And the deck is stupid good still. 1 Dragonfly does the work. Centipede generates advantage. They have the Zektohawk and they have the Zekcalibur. Helps push over. Gigamantis is great. Hornet is great. Hornet can single-handedly clear a field if you wanted to. Insect Devitation card stupid good as well. So Hopper, the fact that they can utilize back row, and again with D5 macro being at 1, the deck can succeed fairly well. Agents, I don't have a good agent representation, so here's a Herald of Green Light that is actually going to a friend, but agents, I think, will succeed to the fact that they have the 3rd Christia. Christia doesn't really matter. They get a 3rd tour guide, they get double Chaos Sorcerer, TG Strikers at 3, so if you want to build TG agents as well. Synchro plays are big. Hyperion is one of the best top decks in the game. I wish I had more representation for you guys, but Hyperion can win you a game. You can get the Herald of Perfection agents as well, and Herald of Perfection, get that out early enough, and that will also single-handedly win you the game while you drop Hyperion and proceed to win. Like Herald of Perfection, and then drop Christia, and you win. Plain and simple, you win the game. There's almost nothing that they can do to get over that unless you have 0 advantage left. But when you're not pushing, the deck always has hand advantage, in my opinion. Tour Guide at 3 helps this deck, like I said. But yes, agents will be good. And now finally, we talk about Evilswarm, and I don't have good Evilswarm representation, and Constellar. Evilswarm, with their new Evilswarm Excision Knight, which I think has the coolest name ever, Excision Knight. Evilswarm, I think, is going to still be a deck, and what I mean by that is decks like Zombies and decks like, let's see here, Agents, Lavals, Darkworlds in a sense, Lightsworns in a sense, Geargia Karakuri in a sense, decks that just, sorry, that's my clock, it plays Christmas music every hour, but decks that can synchro summon a lot will, in a sense, be hurt by this. The deck recycles really well with Infestation, Infection. They always have their Cerceon, which is something Constellars never have, unless you play Sheraton, which I don't. I will be next format. Actually, I'm not even sure if I'll do that, to be honest. But the power cards, or not the power cards, but for Evilswarm, Ophion is still a thing, and the fact that they can search Pandemic is extremely good. So I wish Constellars had a card like Ophion where it was like search one Constellar. That would be so broken though, and that card would be at 1 or banned. The deck would be so much better in my opinion if Constellars had an Exceed monster like that. But Evilswarm, I still think the deck will be good. People are probably going to give me crap about it, and they're going to be like, oh no, the deck's going to be garbage. Now, you guys know I've been playing Constellars for the past like 3-4 formats. What I mean by that, or not 3-4, but like 3, I guess. I actually played the deck for 2, but I got the deck when it first came out in the first dual terminal. I like the deck. However, the major flaw that I have, where I think that this deck can't compete with almost every single deck that I've laid out here, the deck can't compete because it runs out of advantage too fast. And that's the reason why I don't think this deck is going to be that great. Like I said, Geargias will generate advantage. Evilswarm can recycle, and with Excision Knight they can easily get past the Pleiades now. It is not a question, and the fact that it is Evilswarm and protected by Pandemic makes the card that much more scary. Constellars lose hard if they can't get over like skill drain or what's it called, rivalry. So you have to put that into factor. They don't have very many big monsters, so you have to play like lots of removal cards, I guess, because cards like Abyss Giles, Blaster even, in the tournament that I played Friday, I lost a Dragon game because I could not get over his Blaster. There was nothing I could do, and he had a skill drain. So, and I was just trying to dig for that MST, for the Twister or for the Duster Tornado. I just couldn't get it. So, the fact that the deck loses advantage. So, this is not going to be a video praising the deck. I will say that I do think it's going to be a strong contender, but the deck just doesn't generate advantage quick enough. Now, cards that I think that can help that, if you do play Duality, which I don't like this card in the deck. This card will help generate advantage, I guess, or not generate advantage. It actually makes you lose advantage. Sheraton, I think, same aspect, makes you lose advantage. So there's that. But actually, a card that I wanted to talk about, instead of playing Sheraton, why not play this card? I know this is a one tribute, but I've really thought about this card. It does the same thing, and the fact that it's already level 5 and it allows a Pleiades play instead of either an Omega or a Hyades, which I don't even play Hyades. This card, I think, is better in the sense of Sheraton. It's a 2100 beat stick, and with Sombrays being a card, it allows you to normal summon it without anything. You can normal summon it off of Sombray's effect to search, and then you can normal summon again off of like a Pollux or something, and search the Callus, and then you have an instant rank 5 of that, or an Algaidi and rank 5, rank 4. You can do so many things. So this card, I think, may be better than this card in a sense. A lot of people forget Sombray's second or first effect. A card that I think will help generate hand advantage, but I don't personally like it because I play, I think, 16 trap cards. Star Chart, it's a continuous spell that whenever you exceed a Constellar monster, you can draw a card. It can only use once per turn, but they are stackable, which I think is good. It would be better if it was Search. I definitely played if it's a Search, but Star Chart, I think, I think this card will give you the advantage the deck needs. However, with that, you need to play the second and possibly even third M7 if you really want to generate that advantage and still put monsters out. Plays that you can do, it makes you lose advantage. Well, not lose advantage, but activate Star Chart, make a Pleiades, draw your one card, then bounce this card, activate it again, overlay M7 to draw another. So then you just draw 2 cards off this. You can in phase call the Haunted, Pleiades or M7 or something to get a draw off this on the next turn, like overlay M7 for another draw, which I think is really good, which is why M7 would probably be good at 2 or 3 in the extra deck if you played more than one copy of this card. So that card helps generate advantage. And then there's, of course, Star Cradle and Pot of Dichotomy or something. I really can't pronounce that card, but this card, it just helps recycle. But right now, in my Constellar deck, well, I guess, okay, triple tanky helps the deck out a lot. Searches out your cows, gets your power plays. But something that I've been trying out, triple upstart Goblin, and it's just to draw quicker. I played this before, but I had 43 cards. Now I do a 40 card deck. So imagine Patrick Hoban, or I don't know. I'm really bad with names as well, but this card, like he says, you're playing 37 cards. I read an article on ARG, I think it was, about drawing your plays and chances of opening up. And playing this card helps open up your first turn Pleiades, which you ultimately need to have. Something else I'd like to talk about is the Constellar Mirror match is one of the hardest matches to play as a Constellar player. I would almost rate it harder than the Dragon Roller matchup. Only in a sense as you don't have a lot of side deck cards. You're very limited on side deck cards. So, again, Light Imprisoning, that hurts you. Skill Drain hurts you. Rivalry hurts yourself. So the mirror match is really tough. There's not much you can do besides side and back row hate, to be honest. But, like I said, Constellars, I think, just lose advantage too quickly. So that's why I do play a lot of traps, more traps than standard builds, only because I feel as if I need to just to regain advantage. So the thing that I will talk about, the last thing I will talk about is Constellars do have one of the best top decks, though, as well as Evilswarm. This card single-handedly can win you a game. It's hands down one of the best top decks in the game right now, as well as JD. Not as good as JD, but it is a one card Pleiades, or one card XYZ, whereas every other combo is a 2-card thing. You need 2 cards to make the play, except for Sombras. So that's the problem with this deck, is you need at least 2 cards. And even then, like, if you have a Pollux, but you don't have a Kaus, but you have the tanky, you're gonna ultimately go, what, -3? You're gonna go tanky, and then add your Kaus, and you just lost 3 cards just to make that one Pleiades, leaving you with, what, 3 cards left, I think, in the hand. 3 or 4 cards. Which, I mean, I guess isn't terrible, but it's still, you lose advantage too quickly is my main point. So, that's it for the video. Sorry, this is a half-hour long video. That's ridiculous. I've never made a video this long, but I felt like I talked about everything I wanted to talk about. I talked about things that I needed to talk about, and I feel like this could spur a good discussion for the subscribers and for other people. So, like I said, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Sorry it took so long. But comment down below what you think is going to be the best deck, or the best decks. There really is no definite answer at this point in time, and I don't think we'll know until Legacy of the Valiant will be dropped, or Primal Origins. But like I said, just so many possibilities out there. Talk to me about advantage. What do you think? What decks you think I missed? But anyways, you guys, like I said, thank you guys for watching. Sorry for the lengthy video, but don't forget to comment and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.